Been a while. It's been quite the year. Ethan graduated high school. I ruptured my Achilles. Ethan went away to college. And my skin cancer came back. And the older I get, I've had much more awareness that when it feels like life is kicking you when you're down, you're much more susceptible to self-inflicted wounds. So as I'm sitting my ass in my apartment, it dawns on me that I never took the time to process it all of those things that happened to me and all the things that I didn't mention here. All that shit happened. And as much as I try to shrug it off and default to my usual rebuttal of shit happens, that's life, the realization that repeating that mantra to myself, it's just not working. A friend of mine comments about how well I keep it together, outwardly anyway. Fun fact, I don't. I self-medicate, drink too much, and I just sit here and catch myself zoning out. But I'm middle-aged, and if I'm lucky, I'm already halfway through it. As much as it doesn't feel like I am. It's really easy to just kind of kick the can a little bit farther down the road and tell yourself that next year will be different, next year will be better. But one of these days, there won't be a next year to hope is better than the shitty one you just lived through. So, better start now. Right during the height of the pandemic, May 2020, I figured there was no better opportunity to finally take the drive to far West Texas and see Big Bend National Park. I knew restaurants wouldn't be open, but I'm not spending 16 hours in a car round trip to dine out. Drove to Marfa, got in late, woke up the next morning, drove 2 hours south to the entrance of Big Bend National Park, and the fucking gate was closed. Probably one of the greatest expanses of empty space in the lower 48. 0 people around, and the fucking door's locked. I've always told myself 2 things. Well, I tell myself a lot, actually. But about Texas specifically, number 1, I'm not dying in this fucking state. And number 2, I'll come see this one more time before I leave. So, fresh with the knowledge that I can't delay the process of processing so much life hitting me so hard and so fast, the idea of seeing it one more time before I leave sounded pretty damn good. So, let's go to the middle of nowhere, far West Texas. Okay. Before I go any farther, I've got to talk about this camera. I've always used my iPhone when filming out in places, but I've wanted to try something different that's small, portable, shoots in 4K, and shoots in log. And I like my phone. I use the Blackmagic app. I shoot in log, but I hate the variable ND filters for the iPhone because they give you this hideous vignette. I actually drove to Colorado in October with the intent of making a video, shot everything, drove back, downloaded the footage, and immediately deleted all of it because it had that one fucking artifact caused by the variable ND filters. Anyway, so I rented the Fujifilm X106. It's small, shoots in 4K, shoots in log. It's got an internal stabilizer, and it has an internal ND filter. You never see it in the moment. It's not until you get home, you download all your footage. But fuck. Apparently there's an issue, a known issue with these cameras using the ND filter called infrared pollution, which basically is this hideous, choppy red and green artifacts in the shadows. And it pissed me off so much that I wanted to give it the Colorado treatment, just delete it all. Not to mention that somebody must have dropped this son of a bitch, because every fucking video bounces like that DVD loading screen. Like, I'm standing still, autofocus is turned off, I'm shooting an empty landscape, there's nothing to track, and it just is like, I've never had to do so much fucking stabilization in post. Whatever, moving on. The drive to this part of Texas is about 8 hours from Dallas. Actually, nothing in Texas is close. In fact, the drive from Dallas to El Paso is farther than the drive from El Paso to California. Anyway, the drive isn't short. And the drive isn't necessarily a good one. Apart from it being absurdly flat and featureless for the vast majority of the drive there, the drive was insanely windy and dusty, so anything that might have been worth seeing was pretty much rendered invisible. Just hours and hours and miles of shitty brown light. However, once you got through Alpine and over the Davis Mountains, those dirty, dust-filled brown skies gave way to just enough sun that you could actually stretch your legs and explore Marfa for a little bit. Coming to a place like this is about solitude and isolation, for me anyway. And while those are things that I can find at home sometimes, when I'm at home, I still have the daily reminder of the thing that isn't here anymore. The plan was to spend one day wandering around Marfa, just taking mundane photographs of whatever shit I saw. The other day was to spend 2 hours driving south to the town of Terlingua. I've seen some pretty incredible images of the park, but I'm a little too gun shy, less than a year out from rupturing my Achilles, that the prospect of doing those sort of hikes in the middle of nowhere, I just don't possess that kind of good luck. Somebody would eventually find my body. Saturday morning, step outside. It's insanely windy. And I instinctively know that if I drove 2 hours to try and photograph these gorgeous landscapes to get there and it's just windy and brown. So Saturday was designated the Wander Around Marfa Day. Marfa kind of has a mystique about it. Its reputation as this sort of art mecca, cultural oasis in the middle of the high Chihuahuan desert, it is well-founded if you're into that thing. To me, Marfa is like many places I've been in the sense that you either get it or you don't. New York City's like that for me. I've been there twice and I just don't get it. I understand why other people might get it. It's just not my thing. Before I moved to Texas, I had this very naive misconception of what Texas was supposed to look like. My only exposure to Texas were old John Ford movies, and they weren't even shot in Texas. But as a kid, I really did think that Texas was supposed to look like Monument Valley. It absolutely does not. Not at least until you make it to far west Texas. So this kind of field of dreams calling that I've always felt has really zero to do with Marfa and everything to do about this childhood fascination with the Wild West. Through that lens, Marfa ain't it. But that doesn't mean that it's not a unique little town that's worth blowing through a couple rolls of film. And goddamn was it windy. And no, I didn't go to the Prado Marfa. The thing I will always hand to a place like Marfa is that it's got character. There are no cookie cutter developments, definitely no HOAs. It reminds me a little bit of Bombay Beach in California if you've ever been. And coming from a place like Dallas where that's all you see, as much as this trip was an escape for my mental health, it was a sight for sore eyes. Sunday morning, and it was gorgeous. The wind was gone, the sun was out. Could have used a couple more clouds, but beggars can't be choosers. Even though I wasn't going to be hiking Big Bend this trip, I knew that there were still a couple spots down around the town of Terlingua that I'd remembered from the last trip that I wanted to photograph this time. Terlingua is about 2 hours dead south of Marfa, and the farther south you get, it's a goddamn gorgeous drive. When I go someplace and I take my camera with me, I'm not so particular that I do some deep analysis of what film stock I should bring versus what I should leave. My fridge isn't that full of film to be that fucking choosy. Normally, I'll grab a few rolls of color that speak to me in the moment and a few rolls of black and white that does the same. And most of the time, I don't want to regurgitate the exact same look and feel if I'm going someplace that I've already photographed. Whenever I revisit a place, it's never about a desire or need to take the exact same photograph. It's more about self-medication. It's therapeutic. It helps me process and escape, and it affords me an opportunity to reflect and be distracted. I want to see how my perception has changed over time. Have I evolved? Or am I just retreading the same tired shit that I was years ago? The process of shooting on film is everything I've always said it has been. But in addition, it's restorative. It's kind of how I imagine fly fishing to be. Actually, there's a quote from David Henry Thoreau that comes to mind. He said, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but many men go fishing all of their lives without knowing that it's not fish they're after. That's what film is for me. Roll after roll after roll, I'm still trying to discover what it is that I'm after. All that to say, I fucked up in bringing Portra out here. I should have brought Hector like I did 6 years ago. Whatever, I'm not coming back. Terlingua is actually kind of a literal ghost town. It was established as a quicksilver mine, which I think is mercury, but it was pretty much abandoned after World War II. I checked, and the population from the last census was 138 residents. And while it may not have a Starbucks, it's got really good beer, really good chili dogs, and a cemetery pulled straight out of the old westerns that I watched as a kid. It was an odd feeling, coming all the way out here to try and begin processing things and where I find myself in life to end up in a fucking cemetery. A good deal of the processing isn't just the fact that my kid is gone now. It's It's what that vacancy opens up. Both of my parents are still alive, but we all know that won't last forever. And when I'm old, will my kid think about things the same way I do? When you're dead and gone, will people still talk about you? Will they laugh at the jokes you used to make and reflect on how you chose to live your life? Or will you end up nameless and forgotten in a place like this? If I'm on a road trip and I've got my camera with me, everything I pass looks like something I'd want to take a photograph of. 9 out of 10 times, it's not. But I still want to see it. On the dusty drive out west, there were a handful of places that I took a mental note of that I'd want to stop at on the way home. And even though the desire to just fucking get there already was very strong, I still had a few rolls to shoot. It's kind of a fucked up feeling looking at all these photos and all the photos I've ever taken and cut and sleeved and put into binders and labeled accordingly with the date and the subject matter. It's kind of the realization of like, why am I keeping it all? Is it to reflect on when I'm too old to do it anymore? I mean, why would my kid want my old negatives? At least the ones that aren't of him. It's an odd notion, knowing that one of these days it's not going to be me looking back through them. Hopefully it'll be him. It's hard to feel like you're not already just a memory.